Here you go.
Junior Circuit. That's the Nothing Personal Word of the Day for Wednesday, June 26th, 2024. We're talking about the Junior Circuit. That's the American League. I asked Coca and Sarah before the show, do you know what the Junior Circuit is and the Senior Circuit is? No. Well, that's what it's called. National League Senior Circuit, American League Junior Circuit. It's baseball time. This was always my favorite time of the year. NHL playoffs done. Panthers win the cup. Fantastic. Bring the cup in the water. Get it hammered at the elbow room. I'm in. NBA playoffs done. Draft tomorrow night. Tonight. No one cares. We'll talk about a trade that happened, though. But this is really baseball time. And when you're at this point in the season in baseball, you're thinking to yourself, all right, I cannot say it's early anymore. We are 3 months into the season. That's halfway done. We are mid-season. We are the middle of the season. We have about 30 days until the trade deadline. 30 days to figure out where we are, how to evaluate our team. We're looking for trends. We're looking for clues, signs, anything. But when we see them, we have to test it. I was just watching a show that I love called The Newsroom, an Aaron Sorkin vehicle. And it's one of the few shows I've seen multiple times. And it was one of my bad nights. And I was watching some episodes. And there was a conversation about the Red Team. The Red Team is a group of people in the newsroom, and fictional, not fictional, whatever the case may be, where they test a story. Try to poke holes in a story. We had a Red Team on our baseball team, front office, whenever we had evaluations of players, free agents, trades. We had people, specifically one person comes to mind, and we asked that person to be a contrarian no matter what. Even if he agreed, and it was a he, even if he agreed with what trade we were doing or what signing we were looking at, we needed to hear the arguments of why this was a bad idea. This wasn't going to work the way we thought. We weren't looking at it from this angle. And so what's fantastic about, I don't know how to do that, Coca. Do you hear that beep? I asked you if you heard that beep, and I have no way of knowing what that is on my computer. I get it during the course of the show. You can edit this out if you want, but during the course of the show, it like goes beep. I don't know what that is. It's like some alarm or warning. I'm always looking at the door of the studio, home studio. Hey, anybody there? Of course, I lock everything. I had somebody, I didn't even tell you this. I was in the apartment. Everything was going fine. I was watching a movie, and all of a sudden, the door opens. But I have it chained, of course, because you're supposed to chain and lock your door, even in an apartment building. And it was someone pushing in with the chain on. And it scared the absolute crap out of me. So chain your doors, folks. Junior Circuit. So the Red Team is supposed to say, okay, this is where our team is, even though you don't agree. So the Orioles have now lost 5 in a row. They lost last night to the Guardians in a very tightly played 10-8 game, notwithstanding that we lost our pick of the day. The Orioles lost 5 straight, but it is still a 2-team race in the American League East with the Orioles and the Yankees. And when you are in that 2-team race, and I'm not doing anything against Boston or Tampa or Toronto, though I could, you're not in the race. It's just Baltimore and New York. That's it. Boston, you're in the wild card race. Tampa, fringe. Toronto, I'm sorry to say, my preseason prediction is not going to come true. The Blue Jays, I think I'm going to do it, Matt. I think I'm going to go on Canada radio. I think I have a show today with Jeff Blair, Kevin Barker. I think I'm going to have to finally say that's it. The Blue Jays are done. And I hate doing that this early in a season, especially in a market where you're talking to their fan base. but I think I can't deny it anymore. So the Orioles and the Yankees both are not playing well. The Yankees have lost maybe 3 series in a row. Garrett Cole got absolutely spanked by the Mets yesterday. Gave up 4 home runs. Not sure he'd ever done that before in a game, or maybe it tied for the worst start he's ever had. The Yankees are looking at the Orioles. The Orioles are looking at the Yankees, and here's what they're saying. We lost 5 in a row, and we are still only 1 back in the loss column. We can't win a series, and we are still in first place with one of the best records in baseball. The ability to rationalize your position based on a current string of events would stagger you. It is not a bunch of analytic nerds. This is not the role they play when we are deciding where we are in the season. They give us the stat pack. They tell us the trend. They tell us where we are expected to go in their mind. But the best front offices are the ones who are sitting together. They've got the analytics. They've got the facts in front of them, and they're looking at where they are, and they're making their decision. Picture a room where you've got the Yankees, the Orioles, put the Mariners in there, 1-6 in their last 7 games, looking over their shoulders at the Astros, who I told you will not go away, who are way better than they were playing at the start of the season. They're only 3 back in the loss column of the Mariners. Yes, my World Series pick, but the Astros clearly are not going away this season, even with all of their injuries, including Tucker, who's out right now, including Abreu, who they had to designate because he stunk so badly, but made a lot of money. So they're sitting in a room together, and they're having a staring contest. Who's going to blink first? The blink manifests itself in baseball by acquisitions when you're in the race and by selling when you're out of the race. The blink comes when you're willing to make a move before your competitors, a move that is likely to not help you, but you go into it assuming it will. There is only going to be 1 team, maybe 2, who benefit from trade deadline moves, almost definitionally. But you go into the trade thinking you're going to be that team, much like the Astros go into June thinking we're going to be the team to get hot. Steve Cohen goes into June, we're going to be the team to get hot. He was right. The majority are wrong. And then they go back into the room, go back into the staring contest when the next month starts. We would do this all during the season, after games, before games. You're with your front office so much, and you're constantly doing these staring contests, blinking contests, evaluating your position. So when you look at the junior circuit, you're looking at the Guardians who've won 7 in a row. Everybody is doing the Will Ferrell right now. There's just streaking going on everywhere. And what you have to hope for your front office is that they're not you. You have to hope that they are steady. You have to hope that they are not in any way being swayed by the media that will latch onto these streaks and call for action. The whole thing about the hot take world, or what JJ Redick referred to as, did you hear that one? What JJ Redick referred to as engagement farming. What is engagement farming? Is that when you're trying to find something that will cause people to talk about you? Connor McDavid is overrated. Is that engagement farming? The Blue Jays are out of it. Am I doing that? All right. I think I'm going to do a segment where I just have little snippets that you can cut that can go and be farmed. All right. That was it. I just did the internet. What do you want me to do? Can we talk about Vladimir Guerrero? I would like to. Vladimir Guerrero is a player for the Toronto Blue Jays. We're talking about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm not saving this for you in Canada. I'm going to give it to you right now because I love the Canadian audience. You would all be shocked at the numbers we get in Montreal, but you shouldn't be. It's so long ago. No one remembers. Vladimir Guerrero, we did a segment, if we can't pull that up, but it's, I don't know, a month ago when he told us that he never wanted to play for the Yankees. He'd never sign with the Yankees, doesn't want to be a Yankee. Last year, he told the New York Post, hey, it's a personal thing that goes back to my family. Is he talking about his dad? I've spent plenty of time talking to Vladimir Guerrero Sr. What are we talking about here? Hurt feelings about free agency? Vladimir Guerrero decided yesterday, I changed my mind. Our team pretty much is out of it. The Yankees are pretty much in it. It'd be fun to win heading into free agency. I can certainly use that to my benefit. You know what? Sometimes one says things. It's not that I was trying to take back what I said about the Yankees, but this is a business, Guerrero told Viewers Deportivo just the other day. It is a business. I sat down and spoke with my dad, Vladdy said. That's Vladimir Guerrero. Can you see the picture? Do we have the ability? Oh, if we did the thing where we move, we could see the picture. I'm going to go get it off the wall. Are we live? Can I do that? 1 second. Don't go away. This is a picture. True story. I don't know if we can see it. That is the first game I ever played. I didn't even play it. It's the first game I was with the Montreal Expos. This was the first pitch. That's a ticket from the first game. Thank you. Vladimir Guerrero. I got to throw out the first pitch to Vladimir Guerrero. That's a look at me, Louis, if there ever was one. I'm going to put that down now. I don't know why that was in my head, but it was. What are we talking about? I think we should be in a studio where I can't rip things off the wall, Coca. I could stand up. I could take Vladimir Guerrero's bat off the wall. I'm looking at it right now. So Vladimir Guerrero sits with his son. I imagine how that conversation goes. Son, the Yankees may need a first baseman because Rizzo stinks. Now they got a new guy up, Ben Bean. And I really think that it would be fantastic if you were a Yankee. It'd be very helpful. Yeah, but Dad, look at what we said. Son, it doesn't matter what we say. It only matters what we do. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. said, I'm a player. If a team picks me or if they do something, it's because they need it, obviously. And I'll be happy to help any team. What would the Blue Jays and should the Blue Jays do with Vladimir Guerrero? Well, don't ask Ross Atkins, the GM, although you did only 24 days ago. And he said, we believe in them and their futures. When we say that to you, it doesn't mean squat. It doesn't mean we're going to trade a guy or not trade a guy. We believe in a lot of players' futures who aren't on our team. We hope there's a way they can play here for a long time. I've got an idea on how to get a player to play for a long time on your team. Sign him to a long-term deal. When you're entering your final year of arbitration next year, you're going to be a free agent the year after. This is the time to trade a guy if you're not going to sign him. And if you're going to sign him, sign him. The problem with sons of major league players who have made a ton of money, as I've told you before, is they're not necessarily inclined to sign early because they don't have to take care of their family. We love to pray. This is one of those things that makes me look bad and I regret it, and Coca gets pissed. We knew the family situations of players. We were very well aware when a player needed money, the conversations would actually happen. It's not too deep under the kimono. It's okay for the audience to understand when there's a player who we know has to take care of his family. We're going to make a below market offer and say, take it because you will have life-changing money. Why are we the bad guy? We're giving this player, whether they lose the money or not, whether the family steals it from them or not our problem. We are giving a player an opportunity to get his family out of poverty. And I mean skipping all of the middle steps, going from poor to rich in one contract. Under market, not my problem. Don't sign it. If agents don't want to protect the player from signing a deal that can help their family, then they shouldn't. I actually think that those deals are right because they make sense for everybody. That's what deals are. Don't you look for that when you're doing something that's a win for me and a win for you? How is it not a win to take a player out of squalor? But Vladimir Guerrero's not in that position. The Blue Jays can't do that with Vladimir Guerrero. Vladimir Guerrero's doing just fine. His family's just fine. That was the crazy part about the Tatis contract for me. Tatis, not the father, 2 Grand Slams, 1 inning, did not make a ton, but he did well. What was Fernando Tatis Sr.'s career earnings? There's no way I would know to ask that before the show started because it didn't even occur to me that would be in my head. I'm going to set a number in my mind. $24 million. Oh, no, I think we paid him when he was with the Expos. Maybe it's more than that, Coca. I'm going to set the market at $29 million for Fernando Tatis Sr., not Jr. That's pretty good. I mean, after tax, let's even say 50% tax. You're talking about $14.5 million, assuming 29 is right, which it may not be. I mean, not terrible. Of course, if you spend $18 million when you have $14 million, you're bankrupt. Bankruptcies happen with people who have a lot of money as much as they happen with people who don't have a lot of money. Totally normal. What was the total? Tatis Senior, here we go. 18. I hope you took the under. 24 was closer than 29. Although 24, no, over. Price is Right rules. I lose. Still, do you think Tatis maybe? What was Vladimir Guerrero Sr.? He's got to be 225, something like that for Guerrero Sr., his career earnings. Where were we? Vladimir Guerrero Jr., happy to be a Yankee. Story at 11. Give me a break. Don't sign Vladdy long term. Trust me. Nothing personal pick of the day. Orioles over the Guardians. Nope. Brandon Hyde, who is a great, great person to have managing your team, along with Freddie Gonzalez. Said, I'm not frustrated with our offense. We had 16 hits, scored 8 runs. He's talking about the loss to the Guardians last night. We should win that game. We just didn't pitch well enough. True. There's like a list of manager quotes for after games. Ringer, there's a list, and it goes to the following subjects. Win a game, lose a game. Then under win a game, it's like a flow chart. If you've won a lot of games in a row versus this is the first game you've won after losing a lot in a row. Losing streak, same thing. If we've just lost one game after winning a bunch or we've lost 7 in a row. Then under that is hitting well, pitching badly. Pitching well, hitting badly. How you talk about that when you win a game. And then pitching well, hitting badly, pitching badly, hitting well when you lose a game. So you've got already these talking points when we're doing media training and talking to managers about what they have to say when they have to meet the media. And what you say is when you score a lot of runs but give up a lot of runs in a loss, you say, hey, listen, that's exactly a game that we've got to win. We'll be fine, but just the pitching staff has got to put us in a position where when they get 8 runs, we win the game. Totally acceptable comment by Hyde. It's not an issue in the clubhouse. The pitching staff doesn't get angry about that at all. That's one of the things when you're talking about things to say to the media, you want to make sure that you're not upsetting any part of the clubhouse, either the pitching side or the hitting side. When you do want to upset one side of the clubhouse, you do it in a much different pointed manner. Sometimes you use the media directly. Most times you tell the players what you're going to say, and then you say it to the media. They're overpaid. James McCann, is he still being paid by the Mets by chance? How great would that be? Who aren't the Mets paying? I think they're paying Verlander, who's hurt now. Scherzer, who just is coming back. McCann is that catcher they signed when they didn't want to wait for JT Realmuto. Do you remember that? They lost patience and just said, screw it. We're going to overpay McCann. But of course, that could be Brian McCann, but I don't think it is. I think it's James McCann. I'm having a moment. Coca, help me out. Somebody, please. Are they paying $8 million? They are. They're paying $8 million to the Orioles player. I love it. I want every player being paid by Steve Cohen to play in October, except the players he's paying in Queens. It's so bad when that happens. You're watching the playoffs, which many owners and presidents, they say, oh, no, we're not going to watch. We're not in it. GMs are like, no, we lost. We're done watching. They're all lying. Everybody watches. You watch either out of spite, out of jealousy, out of anger, out of love. Heel's pitching for the Yankees over the Mets. I think he's going to help them rebound. They're minus 148. The Mets are HOTTT. The Yankees are COOLD. However, Heel gave up 7 earned runs in his last outing. Maybe he's going to go Imanaga and have a couple bad starts in a row, and the shine will be off his nickel. Or the Yankees will walk into Citi Field and say, we got this. And that's what our pick is, that they're going to do it. Yankees over the Mets. I don't want to go watch a professional team as a reunion of a college team. I don't. College is college, pro is pro. Pro is supposed to be a mix of college players, international stars. You put a group together, you build a team. Picking up a college and moving it to the pros. Thoughts on that? Are you all excited, you New York Knickerbocker fans? I know we've got a lot of you listening who are waking up this morning to the Mikal Bridges saying, oh my God, the Nets and the Knicks made a trade. They haven't done that in decades. It's been years. That guy Samson was 15 years old the last time they made a trade. And now look at him. He's OAF. The New York Knicks said, we've got all these picks, and we came so close. We are so close to Boston. Not. We are so close. We're way better than the Lakers. We've got a way better coach who doesn't drop F-bombs smugly. We don't have aging superstars. We've got a core. Oh, it'd be so good. Metalark, help us out. I love that we're just a small little group, but wouldn't it be amazing to have Villanova's fight song right now? We are New York. We are the New York Knicks. We're going to play some ball because we're the New York Knicks. It's all about soul. It's all about. Those are Knicks fight songs. That's the example. There must be something Villanova-y. Can you imagine having Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, and Mikal Bridges on your team? That's awesome. The Knicks somehow decided it makes perfect sense to send draft picks. The rule is you can't do consecutive years, no problem. We'll do 25, 27, 29, and 31. 25, 27, 29, and 31. We're now in the year 2024. So that means that for the next 7 years, the Knicks have decided, here's our plan. We're going to trade away pretty much every pick we have. And we think this makes perfect sense because if you add Mikal Bridges, a swing guy, to our team, this is how to catch the best of the best to bring our first title in 51 years. Now, Mikal Bridges is no schlepper. Don't get me wrong. And it is true that you can do a Phoenix or you can do a New Jersey. You can trade a bunch of picks to get players and then trade players to get a bunch of picks back. You're basically just running in place. So it is possible. Did I call him New Jersey? God dang it. All right, edit it out. 4, 8, 6, 9. Brooklyn. Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Nets traded Mikal Bridges to the New Jersey Knicks. The Brooklyn Nets traded Bridges to the New York Knicks. There, you got one to work with. Okay? 4 unprotected picks. Is this the time? If you're the Knicks, you have to. You're looking at the Rangers. They got eliminated by the Panthers. You're looking at the Garden. It's all exciting. You were there during the Knicks playoff run. You're feeling like this is amazing, except the Knicks seem to sell out no matter what Dolan does, no matter whether the team wins or loses, because they lose constantly, like decades worth of losing, decades worth of incompetence. We've collected all these picks. We've identified Mikal Bridges. Okay. We don't trust you because everyone who you've acquired before, now the Brunson signing notwithstanding, it just hasn't happened for us. Maybe this is the time it's going to happen. The Brooklyn Nets said, you know, it would be really cool if we started collecting draft picks, because we're going to start again. Everything that we did going back to the Garnett, Pierce, who was the third guy Brooklyn had? I think they did that trade. Did they get Garnett, Pierce, and Allen? And then they had Durant and Harden for a while. My brain is a little fried at the moment on a random Wednesday in June. There is a chance I have that completely wrong. I just don't think I do. Now the Brooklyn Nets have said, we've got a better idea. Let's rebuild. You can't rebuild from a team that never won anything. That's not a rebuild. That's we were losing, but we are going to lose again. We're losing. We thought we could win, but we didn't win. So now we're going to try again with a different set of players. Mazel tov. I think it's a great move. Acknowledging when you're quote unquote rebuild, when you're all in, when the group of players you put together, when you're big 2, big 4, big 3 was not big at all. I guess it's way better than doing what the Knicks did with Ewing. Instead of letting it go, they traded Ewing for a bunch of underperforming, non-performing, overpaid pieces of not good basketball players that set the franchise back for a decade or two. Maybe that is what teams have learned in this age of analytics. Extreme behavior. Maybe AJ Preller is the greatest GM of all time. Extreme. All in, all out. I've talked about being in the middle as being terrible, but that's baseball. In a salary cap game and a salary floor league, the way basketball is, I don't quite understand the all in, all out situation because everyone in general is in a band. Now, I don't mean like Elvis Costello, the E Street Band, the Attractions. They're sort of a band of salary. A collar is a Wall Street expression. It's going to be so good. It is true that the Nets did sell off a piece. Thank you, Coca. That was a very not well-covered piece of sports business. Joe Tsai, you know Joe Tsai, owner of the Brooklyn Nets. He sold 15% of the Nets and Liberty to the Koch family. That is true. Don't get me started on that family. I'm not going to do it. You're not going to get me in there. I'll tell you what you will get me talking about is emotions. I second that emotion. Mike Dunleavy Jr., you don't know who Mike Dunleavy Sr. is, but you should go back. Number 10 for the Milwaukee Bucks. He also was a coach. His son is running the Warriors. The Warriors have a big decision to make about Klay Thompson. And boy, did Mike Dunleavy give you a quote that will make you smile. Remember Klay Thompson, the one with Steph Curry, titles, Warriors, Green, Dynasty, Dominant, documentaries, Michael Thompson's son, greatest three-point shooter ever, arguably. Came back from all those multi-year injuries, that Klay Thompson. Well, that Klay Thompson is a free agent. That Klay Thompson wants to be paid like he's the old Klay Thompson, except he's the new Klay Thompson who's not worth nearly what the old Klay Thompson was worth. Not even close. You've got a huge disparity in what a player thinks he's worth because a player always believes he's at his best versus what a player is actually worth at the moment. So Mike Dunleavy and the Warriors have to decide, are they going to re-sign Klay Thompson? And now is the time. Now is when you negotiate. And Dunleavy said, I'm going to talk to the media. I'm going to give a little quote here, and it's going to be brilliant. I think being reasonable and rational, that's always how I'm going to operate. Smart. It's always good to be reasonable and rational. You're right, Mike. But, he continues, to say about a guy like Klay Thompson, who's meant so much to this franchise, to completely strip the emotion away from it, I think that's almost impossible. Mike, I'd like to terminate you, or at least eliminate you from making any decision on Klay Thompson. Because what you just said Klay Thompson is doing the Snoopy dance. You want to pay him based on what he was, not what he is. And a player is going to accept that with Steve Perry's open arms. If I'm the owner of the Warriors and I hear my basketball ops general manager say that, Mike, can you come in the office? Can you please do me a favor and let me be the emotional one? I'm the owner. You're the one who's supposed to tell me not to be emotional. You're the one who's supposed to tell me not to sign Klay to a contract as though he's the Klay of old. You're the one who's supposed to tell me, save me from myself. Now I've got to save me from you? It defeats the whole purpose of having someone run the basketball operations. For this, I might as well just be Mark Cuban, the newly powerless Mark Cuban. Wait to see when I tell you something's going to happen. If it does, great. If it doesn't, fine. Klay Thompson will re-sign with the Warriors. Mike Dunleavy just told you they're going to be emotional. They have to be. They're not going to be rational. They're not going to be reasonable. They're going to offer the most to Klay Thompson than anybody else. Klay Thompson, loyalty to the Warriors, horse hockey. He'll go anywhere. I wonder what Mikal Thompson's career earnings were. We should have that up in the show. Ring, we should have that up in the show. Just a little thing of career earnings of fathers and then sons. I love that Cat Stevens song. How do you not cry in the last episode of Ted Lasso when they play father and son? How do you not cry? I watched the final segment of the final Ted Lasso to hear the father-son song. I have a wait to see from April 17th that Chris Paul and Klay Thompson will not return to the Warriors. Now I've got to wait to see from June 26th that Klay Thompson will re-sign with the Warriors. Guess what? My show. I'm going to be right on one. I'm willing to be wrong on one. I'm telling you what's changed since April 17th is the following. Mike Dunleavy came out and said, I'm not going to be rational or reasonable. I'm going to be emotional. I'm okay to admit I'm wrong, Coca. I'm fine. Although I guarantee you I'm going to be right on one of those. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I'm going to review a movie that I'm going to beg you to see. And then I've got a candidate for Ass of the Year. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It's David Samson coming at you live. Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel. I can't describe to you my level of sickness yesterday, Coca. I can't describe to you how crappy I feel at the moment. But when the light goes on, I could not make it to St. Louis last night. Trust me, I would have been Hunter Green on the airplane. If you know, you know. Go look at the video, Hunter Green pitching last night. Trust me, you wouldn't have liked that. When you've got North problems, when you've got South problems, and I'm not talking about the Korean War or conflict, I'm talking about something was going on in my body that said, I don't think you can get on a plane right now. We've rescheduled St. Louis for July 22nd. And my plan is not to eat for the 7 days prior to July 22nd, because if you think I'm going to miss St. Louis, then you are cray-cray. I apologize to the people who had bought tickets. I apologize for the late notice. I apologize for the misspelling of my name in the email telling you about the postponement. I apologize for the whole package. Totally embarrassed. Have you ever been sick and then you take too much medicine and then your tummy hurts because you're so clogged up you did it the wrong way? Or when you're clogged up, you take medicine and all of a sudden you're loose, but then you're like, oh my God, the dosage was wrong. Hi, I'm David Samson, and my dosage is wrong. Have we taken a break yet? We got to go to a break. We only have 16 minutes left. So after the break, we will go review. We did break. Thank you. Stevie Van Zandt, Disciple. That's a new documentary on Max. In 2 minutes, if you think you know Steve Van Zandt as Little Steven, as Miami Steve of the E Street Band, if you do not remember whether you should play in Sun City, if you have no inkling of who Southside Johnny is. You actually do, you just don't know it. You don't realize, because I didn't, and I like to consider myself some sort of connoisseur of Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, a connoisseur of Steve Van Zandt. Turns out I didn't know anything. Learning about people's past, their present, their future. You may only know them as in The Sopranos, a series which I still haven't watched, shockingly. This documentary is pitch perfect. It's what everyone dreams they could do when they make a documentary. You're going to say it's too long at 147 minutes, and I'm going to say it's not long enough. Take the time, watch it in 2 sittings if you have to. Steve Van Zandt, Disciple. It's a play on a band he had. Trust me, you're going to love it. Here we go. Hi. I've been deciding how to do this segment during the course of the night and the morning, and I think I've come up with it. I do. My name is not David Samson for this segment. For this segment only, I want you to look at me, and I want you to say, hi, you look just like Jim Schlossnagle. Jim Schlossnagle is the coach. You may have just watched him. And in college baseball, the coach is the manager, is the coach of Texas A&M baseball. They just were in the World Series and lost. I'm meeting the media, and I'm here to tell you the truth. I will never leave Meadowlark. I love you, DraftKings. Thank you, CBS. Whatever I say. When I tell you something and we've built a relationship together, me and you, the audience, don't you want me to be honest with you? Don't you want me to tell you how I feel about certain things? And if I don't say it, it means I'm not ready to talk about it. But you know me, I'll talk about anything. I'll tell you exactly what's in my mind, much to the chagrin of the people with their finger on the button. I'm happy to do it. Here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to treat you like a fool. How many days in a row do you want me to talk about the concept of respecting your audience, respecting your fans? Coca, can you play 42 seconds of the funniest tape of all time?
I think it's pretty selfish of you to ask me that question, to be honest with you. But I left my family to be the coach at Texas A&M. I took the job at Texas A&M to never take another job again, and that hasn't changed in my mind. And that's unfair to talk about something like that. That'd be like you asking Montgomery if he's going to sign in the draft. But I understand you got to ask the question. But I gave up a big part of my life to come take this job, and I've poured every ounce of my soul in this job, and I've given this job every single ounce I can possibly give it. So write that.
Coach, thank you very much.
Guess where he walked? He quit the next day and went to Texas. It's so good. It's so good. He meets the media to tell you he's not going anywhere. I don't exactly know what he means that he left his family, like he got divorced or he moved away from his family. I'm not sure of the specifics about that, but I'll take him at his word that he left his family to be the coach at Texas A&M. Now, he took the coach to never take another job again. Does he mean a job in baseball or like a job as a toll collector or any sort of job? Like he's paid enough money that this is my last job. Never going to work again. I'm not Patino. I'm out. Totally out. You've poured every ounce of my soul into the job. What does that mean? Like you're now soulless? That makes sense to me. You have your hands behind the sign of your name because you don't have a soul, because you left your soul in San Francisco. I have nothing left to give. I've given this job every single ounce I can possibly give. Holy crikeys, we don't want you back next year. You've got nothing left to give. You can't be good at your job because you're empty. I wonder what Texas is thinking. Boy, I hope he's got a few ounces left. Yes, he left. He walked out of that press conference and then took a different job. I know what happened. You know what, David? You are way too cynical. My bad. I just realized, sorry, we didn't prep this before the show. This is what happened. Of course, he walked off. That has to be it. All right. This is the smart way to think about it. So he walks off, and then this happens. Hey, Jim, it's John Cocktoaston. How you doing? Yeah, I'm here. I'm the booster at Texas. Yeah, Texas. That Texas. We just saw that press conference, and were you being serious about that or not? Because we've got an offer for you. I don't know that you'll even think about it, because it would appear to me you wouldn't think about it, because you are giving all of your ounces and you left your family and moved your family, didn't move your family. However, would you ever consider becoming the head coach of Texas? I just walked out of the press conference. Thank you, John, but I can't. We can offer you a great package, great NIL. We have a nice office. We'd like you to come at least tour. Tour? I don't need to tour. I'll take it. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe the first call came as he sprinted out of the press conference. Maybe his phone was ringing, and that's why he left his press conference so quickly. That would be a nice way to look at things, wouldn't it? I think that's funny. What's the more likely thing that happened? Do you think it's more likely or less likely that he had been in negotiations with Texas when he made those statements? Do you think that he looked and said, I got carried away and I probably shouldn't have said that? Do you think that he thinks about his credibility moving forward with anything that he says about anything going forward? Why is it that people do this? Why do you speak in extremes in your personal life, in your professional life, and back yourself into a corner? Kids do that. And then they double down and triple down on a lie. It's why you don't ever ask a kid a question that you know the answer to, and you know that they're going to give you the wrong answer, because you're telling the kid, hey, here's a brain synapse I got to do. I can't tell my mother that I stole the cake, or ate the cake. So I'm going to have to tell her I didn't, even though there's crumbs all over my face. And there's a Ring camera showing that I did it. What's the purpose? And if you know you're going to be asked a question, which at the end of every season, every single manager and coach is asked the same question. Well, how do you feel about next year? What are you looking forward to next year? You're not signed for next year. You are signed for next year. Whatever the case is, you know the question's going to come. What's the purpose of it? What's the purpose of lying to the audience about that? Why not just say, this is where I am today? We can get frustrated by that as the media or as fans, but just say that. I am committed to where I am right now. That's reasonable. I picture Billy Corbin almost every day, which is not exactly something I love to admit. I mean, there are way better things I could be picturing. And I'm not saying I don't picture other people, but Billy Corbin comes into my mind every day, because every day, it feels, there's a new announcement of a new public-private partnership to put public money into a stadium or arena. Every day. It warms the cockles of my heart when the public puts money into a private-public partnership, because the further removed I get from my involvement in that, the more normalized it is, the more I don't have to be responsible for no deals ever happening because my deal was so good. I get to just be another brick in the wall. The Jaguars had a big announcement. Huge. They are getting a $1.4 billion makeover. We've come a long way from the extreme home makeovers, haven't we? The city council in Jacksonville voted 14-1, 2 abstentions, 14-1 in favor of a proposal where there will be $625 million. $625. Man, it turns out I didn't do such a great job. $625 million. That's about 50% put into this new stadium. It's going to be fantastic. Now, they're also adding $150 million in deferred maintenance, but just ignore that for now. I'm talking about the construction. the renovation. This is the one where they get to play where they're playing for a couple of years. It's like when you redo your bathroom, you can still sort of brush your teeth and do the shower, etc. But then at some point you have to clear out of there and use the hose outside. You can stay in Everbank Stadium, but then you have to leave for one season. Where are you going to play? Not sure yet. Haven't figured that one out. But when it's done, we're moving right back in. 2028 is going to be quite a year. Isn't this one supposed to be done in 2028, Coca? So that means that Jacksonville, 28. I think Oakland's going to have a new building in Vegas in 28. Yeah, right. Something else is happening in 28. There are a whole bunch of them. It's a whole new world. The owner of the team said something that made me smile. He was appreciative of the original owner of the Jaguars, the Weaver family, saying they started this and now we are continuing it. Our loyalty to Jacksonville. This is the team that started playing in London. They are the team that loves to play in London. They're the team that's still going to play in London. But the Jaguars don't care because there's an extra home game now and the season's going to go to 18. So there's going to be 9 home games a year. No problem. Play one in London. Then we're in the same place we were when it was a 16-game season and you didn't go to London. We're good. All right. Jacksonville had to do a normal non-relocation lease. Non-relocation agreement is where you promise the public, we're not going to move during the course of this lease. We promise you. Don't you worry. And we will play all preseason and postseason games in Jacksonville. Don't you worry. The city looks at Con and looks at Jacksonville. Jaguars looks at their team, looks at their commitment to Trevor Lawrence, and says, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take $600 million from a capital improvement plan because if you've been to Jacksonville, you know that no capital improvements are required for any buildings, including Everbank. We're going to use revenue from a half-penny sales tax that we have, and that's how we're going to fund it. Do you realize by funding as we go how great that is, that we don't have to pay any sort of interest? We don't have to pay. This is a funny one, Coca. When people accuse Miami and the deal for Marlins Park, do you know that the city and county put in billions of dollars and you didn't? That's including all the interest that they pay on money that they borrow. And I've always explained to you, well, then you've got to give the team credit for putting in way more because the team borrows the money that they put in. So you've got to do apples to apples and oranges to oranges. When you pay with money that you have, you can say that this is cheaper money. It's like when you don't use a credit card, you use cash to make a purchase, whether it's a TV, a couch, versus buy now, pay later with no interest. That just means that the price of the couch is cheaper than you expected, which means the markup is bigger. Please tell me you understand the way I'm telling you that people use dollars fungibly. They manipulate for marketing purposes. And the manipulation here in Jacksonville is we're using money right now. We're repurposing it. Therefore, we are saving so much debt service over the life of this lease that we're brilliant. We're genius. We've figured out the code, Da Vinci. No, you didn't. Because for the next projects you have to do to keep your city as an actual city operating, when bridges are collapsing and roads have potholes and life happens, you're going to have to borrow the money in the capital markets again. Because the money that you're spending, that you would have spent now, you already spent to redo the stadium. But yet we get to say to you publicly, hey, no worries, no interest, no debt service. We're using today's dollars today, pay as you go. Brilliant. We're geniuses. Maybe from a PR standpoint, but that's it. Future projects will take borrowed money. That's how life goes. What do you think, that they figured out something that no other city or stadium authority or owner has ever figured out? Boom. We did it. It's total horse hockey. But Jacksonville's got himself a new stadium. Well, really, it's more of a renovated stadium. Way to go. Whew. We'll be back tomorrow. We definitely will have a show tomorrow. You know why? It's just business. Have a good day. I got to go. This is nothing personal.